In today's video, rival vampire clans attack a village of fanatical peasants as we play our first on-screen game of Mordheim, the classic skirmish game from Games Workshop. Well, hi folks, this is Lee from SkirmishWargames.com. Welcome to the channel. I'm here with Lynn.
Hello everyone.
And today we're playing our first on-screen game of Mordheim, City of the Damned. And because new game systems, or old game systems that we're learning for the first time, make our brains hurt as we shift from one game system to the next, this is kind of an introductory game for us. So you could call this the Mordheim Halloween Special. So we kind of have a stripped down scenario that's going to allow us to kind of practice the mechanics and kind of get used to how it all works. And then after this, probably after Halloween, we'll start playing some full-on traditional games of Mordheim within the City of the Damned. But today, basically, we are using a scenario out of the Empire in Flames Wilderness expansion rules, and that is the Frenzied Mob. So what we have here is we actually have two groups of vampires. We have a traditional von Karstein type aristocratic vampire over here with his retinue of zombies and a direwolf and a necromancer. And over on the other side of the board, he's going to be basically competing with this Strigoi named Karloff and his band of ghouls that kind of hang out here in the cemetery. So we essentially have two small competing bands of undead. They're both about 300 crowns, give or take. And they're going to be competing over the local food source, which is this band of villagers that lives in sort of a desolate area in the cemetery region outside of Mordheim. So these villagers are kind of crazy. They're kind of zealots in their own right. And they've decided that this is free land and they're going to live here. And they don't really seem to mind that Karloff and his ghouls pick off an occasional traveler or maybe a child who's not obeying the elders. Eat your vegetables, or we're going to give you to the Strigoi, that sort of thing. So they sort of live with it. Anyway, today Karloff is going to be having sort of a violent confrontation with Baron Gerlach, who is an aristocratic vampire who's been entombed in this mausoleum here. And you may remember the name Baron Gerlach from I think our Witching Hour gameplay video that we did back in January, maybe. So that Baron Gerlach was one of the descendants of this Baron Gerlach, and he was a human descendant and basically joined the King's Riflemen and became a freelance werewolf hunter in an attempt to redeem his family's name. But in this time and place, Baron Gerlach is a vampire, and he's been entombed in this mausoleum with his followers until this necromancer showed up and decided to raise them all. So they've popped out of the mausoleum, and they're going to go on a feeding frenzy within the village, which sort of raises the ire of the Strigoi here, Karloff, because this is his feeding grounds. And he's trying to sort of be careful. He doesn't take too many of them, but occasionally picks off one or two, and they sort of accept that as the cost of doing business here in the cemetery area outside of Mordheim. But if that aristocratic vampire is going to go in and basically wipe out the livestock, then he's going to have to get in and get his share. So the scenario today is going to be these two sets of vampires are going to be trying to break into these houses. And we have 4 houses marked. You can kind of see them. They're the ones with the meeples in front of them. 1, 2, 3, and where's the other one? 4. And so that is going to designate groups of villagers that have barricaded themselves inside their hovels. And there's going to be other groups of villagers that are more, let's say, militant. And these are the local guys who are going to come out and sort of defend their village from the various vampires. So as the vampires approach the various houses that have a meeple in front of them, they're going to try to break in and basically feast upon the living. And the villagers, when a vampire gets too close to one of those houses, they're going to basically form an angry mob. They're going to pop out of nowhere from the haystacks or the wood pile or wherever they've been hiding and defend their turf. So we will roll, I think we said within 5 inches. If a vampire or one of his retinue gets within 5 inches of one of those houses, then we're going to roll a d3 plus 1, and that many villagers will pop out. And they're just armed with rudimentary hand weapons, except this one guy has a bow. And they are frenzied also, so they're not really subject to psychology. So normally they'd be afraid of zombies and ghouls and direwolves and vampires, but in this case, not so much. They're, I guess they live through a lot of hardship anyway, so they're going to go ahead and attack the vampires and try to protect their turf. However, if that line of defense fails and a vampire is able to get up to the door of one of these buildings and to make a strength test and break in, and then reside inside that building for a full turn, then he will essentially have feasted upon everyone inside, and then he will get a meeple for his troubles. That's basically his victory point. Other victory points will be, killing an enemy soldier, killing a villager, and we're not really going to do an official tally, but we'll sort of look at it at the end and see which vampire band did the best. And of course, if one retinue can wipe out the other vampire, then that's a major victory. So the vampires will have to be aggressive, but also try to protect their person, and they're certainly welcome to flee off the battlefield at some point if they feel like the opposition is just too much. So that is what we're doing today, and it's sort of a stripped down scenario. We don't have a lot of the weapons and armors in play. I think the aristocratic vampire, Baron Gerlach, has light armor and a sword. The necromancer has a dagger, and the Strigoi are just basically fighting with their claws. And so we don't have to worry about a lot of those special rules, and we're not worrying about skills and psychology and stuff like that, or route tests. So this is basically just a simple game to allow us to sort of get the mechanics down, and also to celebrate the season. So you might count this as our Mordheim holiday special, as I said earlier. So we did a practice game already, and I think that helps streamline things a little bit. But forgive us as we make our usual gameplay errors. We're just figuring it out, and we're just humans. So we will do the best we can, and hopefully you'll get a kick out of watching us play some old school Mordheim with a Halloween theme. So that is our plan today. Yeah, so Lynn is going to be playing the filthy mud and caked Strigoi who lives in the cemetery, and Baron Gerlach. I guess I'm going to represent Baron Gerlach over here and see if we can arise from our crypt and feast upon the living, and that'll give us the strength we need to go out and conquer the world. So, and as I mentioned earlier, these are basically simple 300 crown war bands. So I have a vampire with a sword and light armor. I have a necromancer, and he has basically the reanimate zombie spell. So if one of his zombies gets killed, he can reanimate them as long as they're within 8 inches, I think. We have 6 zombies and a direwolf, and so that is roughly about 300 crowns. Lynn, on the other hand, is going to be playing the Strigoi. So she has a Strigoi, and basically I think it is 5 ghouls, and that's it.
Yep.
So basically Lynn's team has nothing. These guys are just running free range in the cemetery. So the Strigoi doesn't have any weapons or armor. He's just fighting with his big claws, as are the ghouls. A few of them have basically a bone or a rock or something like that they've dug up, but they are basically fighting with just improvised weapons. So that's how we're going to play it. And the ghouls are not technically undead, but they do cause fear, which means they are also immune to psychology. So they don't have to worry about getting scared by the direwolf or the other vampire or the zombies. And so they're going to try to break free from the cemetery, and the other vampire is going to break free from his crypt, and they're going to unleash themselves on the living here in harvest time. So we'll see how that goes, and if the frenzied mob of peasants are able to defend their turf, or if they become basically just a snack for the local vampires. All right, Lynn, are you ready to roll some initiative and get this on the road?
Let's get this on the road.
Okay, I'll be rolling the red die for Baron Gerlach, and you're rolling a green die
For Karloff.
for Karloff the Strigoi. I have a 1.
I have a 2.
Okay, so Karloff gets initiative. So basically the way this works is as soon as any member of a vampire's retinue gets within, I think we're saying 5 inches. I think it's 8 inches in the original game outlined in the expansion, but because our board is a little smaller, it's a 3x3, we're saying 5 inches. Then you roll a d3 plus 1, and that many peasants kind of pops out. And what did we say about that?
The peasants can't get closer than 3 inches to the attacking person.
Yeah, so basically they pop out from around that structure. Then if they're in charge range, they can charge. And if no one's in charge range, they kind of back off and sort of protect the building again. So if someone gets too close, peasants are going to pop out, and then there'll be a big brawl with pitchforks and rakes and torches and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, so Lynn, you get the first turn. So basically you get to move all of your retinue. And as we understand it, then you're going to be doing the recovery phase, the movement phase, the shooting phase, and the combat phase, kind of in that sequence. And then I will get a turn. And then after that, any peasants that have popped out will get their turn. And as I always like to say, we have read the rules, we've watched the videos on YouTube, we have done some practice. And after that, whatever happens, happens is basically just our interpretation of all of that material. So there might be some things here that are not really in line with the rules as intended. And certainly if you see any of that, leave us a comment in the comment section. We'd love to hear it. But basically, this is just how we play games, and I assume most people do too. You get the rule book, you try your best to kind of comprehend what's going on, and then you play it according to your taste. So that's what we're doing here. And this is our first game of Mordheim, and hopefully we'll get the mechanics down smoothly enough that we can move on to traditional games inside the ruined city and fight for some weirdstone. But in the meantime, it is now Karloff's turn, and what are the ghouls going to do? No recovery for this turn yet, and so you just go right into movement.
Yep. We're going to start out with this ghoul here. He's going to move his 4 inches.
Okay, so he's running up to that building, which has a meeple in front of it, and I see within 5.
Well, yeah, he's within 5.
Okay, so then a bunch of peasants pop out.
So you get to roll for peasants.
Okay, so D3 plus 1. 6 plus 1,
4
so
peasants.
that's 4 peasants.
The max, of course.
Max peasants. No closer than 3 inches to your ghoul. So put 1 there. 1 on the other side of the haystack. 1 kind of behind him. And 1 right there, I suppose. Okay, so we have your ghoul. 4 peasants popped out. And on their turn, which comes after your turn and then my turn, and then they'll get a turn, they'll be able to charge unless your ghouls have other ideas. So some of these other ghouls could probably charge in there. Okay, that's your first ghoul, and you have basically agitated the peasants.
I have agitated the peasants.
The peasants are revolting.
So this ghoul here
Okay.
is going to charge this peasant here.
Okay.
So I can go up to 8 inches, so we'll see. Yep, I will make it. So he's going to charge, and I'll give him a mark to show that he charged, so we know who charged and who didn't.
So because he charged, he automatically gets to go first in combat.
Regardless of initiative. And this ghoul here is going to charge the other peasant here, or attempt to charge. So that's 6. And another 2. We'll get him there.
Okay.
So he charged that peasant. So my Strigoi Karloff is going to join the fray. He can't run because he's within 8 inches of another enemy, so he'll just pop over here.
Okay.
And these 2 ghouls are also going to work their way around there, so they can also move 4 inches. So he's going to go 2 to here, and then 2 that way.
Okay.
And same with this one. He's got to go 3 this way, and then 1 that way.
Okay. So ghouls are stampeding out of the graveyard.
Yes.
Okay, no shooting because nobody has missile weapons, and so you go right into combat, I guess.
Right.
So you have this ghoul charged a peasant, and this ghoul charged a peasant. And these guys are not in base to base. So basically, that ghoul is attacking a peasant, and the other ghoul is attacking a peasant, and the ghouls get 2 attacks each.
Okay, so this ghoul is going to attack this guy with the hatchet.
All right, so the ghoul has a...
Weapon skill of 2.
Okay.
As does the peasant.
Yeah.
So I need a 4 or better to hit.
Right.
No hits.
No hits. Okay, so your ghoul here attacked the peasant with a hatchet, missed. Now the peasant with a hatchet attacks back. He only gets 1 attack, and his
weapon skill is 2.
Weapon skill is 2 versus your weapon skill of 2, so again, a 4+. And he hits. He hits, and he needs to do, let's see, I think his strength is 3, your toughness is 3, so again, a 4+ to wound. And 3, he doesn't wound. So sad.
So this ghoul here with the bone is going to attack the peasant with the hook knife.
Yeah, and the carving knife, it looks like. All right.
So he gets 2 attacks, 4 to hit. 2 sixes,
hits.
2 hits. That would have been better on the next roll.
Right. And
1
critical.
2 crits. 2 crits.
2 crits. Okay. All right. You can do those one at a time, I guess. So you would roll on the crit chart.
Just 1?
1.
Okay. So it's a 4?
So that hits exposed spot, 2 wounds. And so then go ahead and roll on the injury chart twice. And out of action.
Okay.
So yeah, you've torn that poor peasant apart. You get a snack. You get a victory point for that. All right, and the peasant did not get to do a return attack because she's toast at this point.
Yes. So your turn. So what is your evil aristocrat going to do?
Well, he is going to try to belly up to the buffet and help himself. All right, I'm going to take a gamble here. I have a direwolf right here. He can't run, but he can move 9. And so I'm going to move him 9, I think this way. So that puts him about there.
And he's outside of that 5-inch range.
Yeah, he's not within the bubble, so he hasn't activated any peasants. Meanwhile, these zombies are just going to do what they do and stagger forward. Brains.
And that definitely puts him within 5, I think.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. You want to do a die roll for some peasants? Okay.
So 4 there,
4
too.
peasants there. We're going to run out of peasants pretty soon. Okay, so 4 angry peasants emerge from hiding to defend the cabin from the zombie onslaught. That's actually the lone bowman there. Oh, you're going to move him back to the corner. Okay. And that's 4. 4 peasants ready to fight. Okay, so charges take place first in the movement phase, so you need to basically declare your charges. We're no longer in the charge phase. In fact, Lynn, I think you may have charged some of your guys during the regular movement phase, but nobody caught it, so that's just water under the bridge. We'll just try to remember that moving forward. But for now, these zombies can only do a regular move. They can't do a charge, and so they're going to regular move their shamble basically toward these peasants. And the bow guy, normally the peasants would have to charge, but we're saying the bow guy will basically try to get the most advantageous positioning for a shot. So he's a little bit different. So those zombies are heading toward that pack of peasants. The direwolf is running over this way. And let's see, what else do we got here?
3 more zombies, your necromancer, and your vampire.
Yeah. Zombies cannot run, so really 4 is their max movement if they're not charging. So that zombie's going to move about 4 that way. This zombie is going to move about 4 this way. This zombie, I'm going to go behind this guy. The necromancer is going to move 4 and be kind of with this group of zombies in case he needs to resurrect any of them. And the vampire finally, his movement is 6. The vampires move 6.
Ah.
So yeah, you may have cheated your Strigoi out of a couple inches of movement.
But maybe it makes up a little bit for my charges.
Yeah, well, you know. The thing about games like this is you play the game, mistakes get made, nobody notices, but that doesn't detract from the experience. So who cares, really? I'm going to do a video at some point that wargaming rules are irrelevant outside of tournament settings. So, okay, so he's going to move full 6 and kind of go this way. Vampire moving up. Baron Gerlach. So that is my movement phase, I guess.
Peasants.
Peasants.
Peasants attack.
All right, so the Strigoi took a turn. Baron Gerlach took a turn. And now it's the peasants' turn. And I guess they're going to try to charge anybody that they can charge. So we have 2 peasants here. I guess they're going to charge this guy, right?
Who's the closest? That one's 3. They're about the same. So this one would definitely charge that one. The other one has his choice.
So pitchfork guy is going to charge this ghoul over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. The peasant with the scythe will charge this other ghoul over here. And is that all the peasants? I think you killed one, right?
I killed one.
Took one
Now
out
we
of
go
action.
over to your side.
So, yeah, they charge in. We'll give them a little marker to indicate that they get to attack first. Okay, now on this side of the board, we have all these peasants, and they're going to try... The bowman is not going to charge.
He's just going to try to shoot.
Yeah, he's going to wait till the shooting phase.
So this peasant with the torch is definitely closest to this zombie here. So this peasant with the hook knife will charge this zombie here.
Okay.
And so that one's about 5. They're both about the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3.
The blue peasant charges in.
Oops.
You're charging your own peasant?
Yeah, I'm charging my own peasant. Okay.
All right.
So we got 2 charges there.
Peasant charge that zombie. These peasants charge that zombie. That bowman is going to wait for a shot. And there's where we're at. Okay.
So shooting phase is next.
Right. Okay, so this bowman here is going to fire at that zombie, correct?
He's got a ballistic skill of 2, so he'll hit on a 5 or a 6.
4
Nope.
misses. Whoosh. This peasant with a torch here has a weapon skill of 2. The zombie has a weapon skill of 2, so you need to roll 4, 5, or 6 to hit. No. Peasant lady in black attacks the zombie. 4, 5, or 6. No.
Need a better dice.
Need new dice. And finally, this peasant here versus that zombie there. And no, that's a lot of ones.
That's
wow.
an awful lot of ones.
Okay, not looking good for the peasants there, but good for the zombies.
Yeah, so now the zombies get to attack.
Now the zombies get to attack. Their initiative is only 1, I think, so even when they're not being charged, they're pretty slow. So this zombie here is going to attack the peasant with the torch, and so he needs a 4, 5, or 6.
Hit.
That's a 6. Yeah, so strength of 3 for the zombie versus toughness of 3 for the peasant. So again, 4, 5, or 6 to wound, and no.
No.
So this zombie here versus that peasant there, and so 4, 5, 6 to hit. No. All right, so that's it for those zombies. Now we have peasants on the other side of the board.
Yep.
Okay, we may have forgotten to mark all these guys correctly, but to the best of our knowledge, we have 2 peasants that charged, and this guy's just in combat. So we'll start with this one with the pitchfork here. What is the weapon skill of a ghoul?
2.
2. So 4, 5, or 6 to hit for the peasant stabbing that ghoul. No. Then this other peasant here with the scythe. No. And actually, we should have, before we moved on to this other peasant here, that ghoul should have gotten his attacks. So that ghoul gets 2 attacks on the peasant with the pitchfork. 4, 5, or 6 to hit. One hit. Roll 4, 5, or 6 to wound. Wound. Roll on the injury roll. And that is a stunned. So you have stunned him. He's knocked face down. Makes him very vulnerable. And then this ghoul would get to attack as well, and he's going to choose to attack this peasant over here. So one hit. Roll a wound. 4, 5, or 6.
Nope.
No, almost a 6. And then finally, this peasant here with the axe gets to attack that ghoul there, and he needs a 4, 5, or 6 to hit. He hits. He got a critical hit on the wound. So rolling on the critical hit chart, 5 is a master strike. 1 wound equals 2 wounds. No armor saves, plus 2 to injury rolls. So I get to roll twice on the injury chart and add plus 2 to each die roll. So that is a 5 and a 5. That is out of action. So that ghoul is eliminated.
All right.
So that's pretty good. Yay, peasants. Brandish those pitchforks.
But now it's my turn.
But now it's your turn.
There will be revenge.
The ghouls are going to wreak a horrible revenge.
Yes.
So it is now Karloff's turn, him and his retinue of ghouls. And what are your plans here? You could actually have this ghoul over here go and try to knock down that door and get in and feast on the
Yes, that was my plan.
the non-combatants inside.
Yes, that was my plan. He gets there with about 3,
Okay.
so he can try to knock down the door.
Okay, I need to do a strength test to knock down the door. And what is his strength? 3, right?
His strength is 3.
So roll a 1, 2, or 3, I guess. Somebody's knocking.
No, he's not strong enough.
Not strong enough, but he can try again next turn.
Yes.
Okay, and we just remembered we need to do our charges first, so we're going to count that as a mulligan. So that zombie moved and knocked on the door, but really the charges should have gone first. So go ahead and do those charges now. See, I suggested that move, and so that got you off track. So it's probably my fault.
So the ghoul with the bone is going to charge the peasant with the hatchet there.
Okay, so we'll mark that as a charge, just so we remember. And you can't pre-measure the charge, so you have to kind of eyeball it and say, is that 8 inches? I think it probably is.
I think it is. So this ghoul with the stone is going to charge.
All right, let's measure it just for fun.
Yeah.
Now that I've said that. Is that within 8?
Yes.
Okay. So that ghoul with the rock is charging the peasant with the scythe. And when we get to the combat phase, the ghoul will attack first. The Strigoi, what's he going to do? How's he going to carry his weight in this endeavor?
He's big enough to hop right between and charge them both.
Sure, that's thematic. So the Strigoi just wants to kind of bulldoze his way through those two and hop in the middle there.
Yeah, he's going to charge them both.
Close enough.
1 claw on
He
each.
kind of has to shoulder his way through, but it's thematic. So there's a big battle over here, and inside the cabin here, inside the hovel, the people are quite concerned because there's a ghoul pounding on the door. And do you have anybody else to move? No, that's it. So
That's it. So the zombie with the bone is just going to feast on this here peasant since he's stunned.
Okay. So if you're attacking someone who is stunned, then they're just gone. They're just out of action. So ripped off a femur, gnawed on it a little bit. That was delicious. Tastes like country folk. This ghoul here, who is he going to attack, just for future reference? This one here?
He can only attack that one because that's sweet
Okay.
charge. That one. And the Strigoi can attack either one.
Okay. So you're going to wait until the ghouls do their thing to decide where the...
Yes.
Okay. So the ghouls each get 2 attacks, and the Strigoi gets 2 attacks, and...
Hopefully we'll take out some of these peasants.
right, and they can decide how they want to distribute those.
So first, the ghoul with the stone is going to attack the peasant with the scythe. No hits.
No hits.
Ghoul with the bone is going to attack the one with the
Do you want to do that? Let's do the peasant counterattack first.
peasant counterattack.
So that peasant needs a 4, 5, or 6 to wound that ghoul. He hits. He gets a critical hit on the, on the wound roll. These peasants are motivated, you know. Master Strike. 1 wound equals 2 wounds, no armor saves. And out of action.
This game will go quick.
The peasants are just getting some lucky strikes in. They're motivated because there's no second place in this game. You either survive or you don't. Okay.
So the bone ghoul will attack the one with the axe.
All right.
2 hits.
1 wound.
1 wound.
Roll on the injury roll. That is a knockdown. Okay. Now the Strigoi has a decision to make. Do you want to have both attacks against one peasant or one against each? He's pretty powerful.
How about 1 against each?
Okay. So the Strigoi is going to attack this peasant that's been knocked down, and so you hit automatically, and you just need to roll a wound. TheStrigoi's strength is 4, the peasant's toughness is 3, so that means you need to roll a 3 or better to wound. 5. You wounded him.
Okay.
Okay, roll on the wound chart.
5.
5, out of action. Okay, so now the Strigoi has another attack. He's going to attack this peasant over here with the scythe.
My weapon skill is 4, your weapon skill is 2, so I need a 3 or better.
Right. So 3 or better to hit.
2.
And
Of course not.
Didn't hit.
Okay.
Okay, so the peasants already did their attacks, and actually, you wiped out almost all of them. There's just one guy there left,
But they wiped out 2 of my guys.
but they did get 2 ghouls defending their home.
So I don't have many guys left.
Well,
Compared to your massive horde.
yeah, the zombies are only 15 gold crowns apiece, so they're pretty cheap. And we're not doing the breakpoint rules here. We're just going to, because we didn't have very big war bands to begin with, so we'll just kind of fight it out until there's a clear victor or one vampire decides to basically cede the field to the other guy. Okay, so we're going to call this the Battle of the Hovel. So the Strigoi have basically wiped out the peasant defenders, and now it's time for Baron Gerlach to take a turn. So the Baron's over here on this side of the board, and his horde of zombies is kind of shambling along with him.
Did you kill some peasants already?
I didn't kill any peasants yet. So first things first, I have to declare my charges. So this zombie here is going to charge this peasant with the bow because he doesn't like getting shot at. So he's going to charge in there. And zombies have very low initiative, but because he charged, he'll get first attack, which is good. And then these guys are engaged. These guys are engaged. I suppose this zombie here will go ahead and charge this peasant just for grins. Then I have my vampire, my necromancer, and 2 zombies here.
And your dire wolf.
And my dire wolf, who needs to decide what to do. So I think the dire wolf, to start with, is going to try to move over here, now that these peasants are all engaged over on this side. And with his movement of 9, he should be able to 5.5. He can just get up there, but he can't do anything with it. So he is charged right up to the door, but he can't make an attempt to break it down yet, so he'll have to try that. Next turn, so there's a wolf at the door, and all the little widows and orphans inside are quite concerned about that. So hopefully these peasants over here can mount a vigorous defense and then come and attack that wolf, which would be good for the peasants. And now I think Baron Gerlach and his 2 zombies are going to move this way toward this other hut that has some juicy morsels inside. And we'll see if they can get someone to just open the door for them. It's Halloween. We're trick-or-treating. So this first zombie moves 4 inches toward the cabin full of villagers, but because he doesn't get within 5 inches yet, then no defenders pop up. This second zombie is going to move 4 inches toward the cabin as well, but because zombies can't run, that's as far as he can go. The vampire, on the other hand, can move a full 6 inches toward the cabin, but he's not quite within 5 inches of the cabin yet, so no peasant defenders are unleashed. This allows the vampire to run another 6 inches if he wants to. So that would put him about there, and that will unleash a horde of peasants, I believe. 2 peasants. So Baron Gerlach is moving in on the front door of this particular hut, and these 2 peasants have popped out of the bushes to try to challenge him, and let's see how that goes. So the only one I have left to move is the necromancer, but he's just going to kind of stay put in case there's any zombie casualties, and then he can use his spell to kind of try to bring one back. All right, so that is movement phase, right? No missile fire, so just combat. We'll start over here. We have a zombie who charged this bowman here, so the zombie needs to get a 4, 5, or 6 to hit the bowman, and he doesn't. And the bowman doesn't strike back.
Then you get your other charge.
We got a charge over here. This zombie is going to attack this guy with the little sickle. 4, 5, or 6 to hit. No! Sickle guy strikes back. Hits. 4, 5, or 6 to wound. Wounds. Injury roll. Knocked down. So the angry farmer with the sickle shoves his zombie opponent backwards into the dirt.
So now you have
My regular attacks.
these 2 left, but you do not have
Right.
initiative. I would have initiative.
Yeah, the zombies are slow. The peasants are a little faster, so the peasants get to attack first. So we'll start with the one with the torch. Go ahead and roll 4, 5, or 6. No. Zombie strikes back. 6 is a hit. No wounds, though. So here, this one with the 2 knives, striking that zombie.
Hit.
And yeah, it's a hit. No wound, though. Zombie strikes back. That's a hit. No wound. So they're just locked in combat there. So that's the result of this combat here, and outside of that zombie being knocked down, nothing much happened.
Now it's the peasants.
Now the peasants.
Peasants!
So I think in the charge phase, these peasants here are going to charge the vampire, right?
Yep.
And normally they'd have to make a roll because vampires cause fear, and so it's harder to charge them when they cause fear. But these guys are fanatics, and so they're just going to go ahead and charge right in. So that is 2 peasants. So yeah, these peasants are fearless. They're just going to go ahead and charge that vampire with little regard for the possible outcome. So that is basically all of the peasants who can move. The bowman can't fire because he's in combat. So in attacking, we would start with the charges. Okay, so we'll be starting with these 2 peasants and that vampire. Roll for the peasants. 5, I think, is a hit.
Pitchfork is a hit.
So the vampire has a weapon skill of 4. The peasants have a weapon skill of 2, so they need to hit 4, 5, or 6, so they're fine. Your strength is 3 versus the vampire's toughness of 4. 5.
4.
Yep, needed a 5, didn't get it.
So the other one.
Hits.
Hits.
Does not
and
wound.
Does not wound. Okay.
Vampire gets 2 attacks. I think he's going to split them, just for grins. So his weapon skill is 4. The peasant's weapon skill is 2. 3 or better. So, pitchfork guy. Hit. Wounded. That's a 5. So he rolls on the injury chart. 2, which is knocked down. So, knocked him down. And then Baron Gerlach is attacking this other peasant who's rocking a hatchet. And so that is not a hit. So he doesn't hit him. Okay. Less than stellar results for Baron Gerlach. So the peasants attacked Baron Gerlach. He managed to knock one down, but nobody got dismembered or killed. So that's where we are for the moment. Okay, over here by the haystack, we have a peasant with a scythe attacking the Strigoi. And the Strigoi's initiative is much higher, so he attacks first. He gets 2 attacks.
Weapon skill is 4. The peasant's weapon skill is 2.
So 3 or better. 1 hit.
1 hit.
So strength of 4 versus toughness of 3. So you get a 3 to wound and nothing. Well, it happens.
Well, you missed 2, so.
Okay.
The vampires are having a bad day.
The vampires are having a very bad day. These peasants are putting up fiercer resistance than they expected. Okay, so the peasant avoided any injury. He's going to attack back. His weapon skill is 2 versus your weapon skill of 4. 4 plus. You would think it was a 5, but it's actually a 4 plus, according to the chart. 2. Nope. Missed anyway.
Good. Now we go over to the big brouhaha.
The big brouhaha.
And the peasants, I think, have higher initiative anyway.
If you can't get higher initiative than a zombie, there's something wrong.
Yeah. So this peasant with the sickle is going to attack the zombie that's knocked down, so he just has to roll for a wound.
Right. He automatically hits. Yeah, so that peasant has a strength of 3, the zombie has a toughness of 3, so I believe you need a 4, 5, or 6 to wound.
Nope.
What'd you get?
A 3.
Okay. And then zombie can't fight back. Then you have this lady with the 2-bladed weapons fighting that zombie there.
A hit.
So 5 is a hit. Rolled wound. 4, 5, 6. No. And
so he gets to attack back.
Oh, yeah, he gets to attack back. That's pretty sweet.
And he can attack either one.
He's going to attack... Oh, he'll attack this blue guy. So 4, 5, or 6. 1. Nothing.
Then this peasant with the torch is going to attack that zombie there.
Right. Nothing. And the zombie's going to attack back. Hits. 4, 5, or 6 to wound. And nothing. So, wow.
Okay, now the archer...
Evenly matched.
The archer is going to attack the last zombie with the bone.
Right. So
3.
that archer is attacking there.
Nothing.
Does not hit. The zombie's going to attack back and misses. Okay, so that accomplished nothing.
Okay.
It's the epic struggle. So there's a lot of shoving and fighting and cursing going on over here, but not much really being resolved. So it's fanatical peasants versus the undead, and so far it's more or less a stalemate. So now it's the Strugoi's turn again, and they've done a pretty good job of actually eliminating the peasant defenders. They're down to 1, and that'll give them free reign on this side of the board to basically pillage. So what are your plans? What are your nefarious plans?
So first, this little ghoul here is going to charge in and...
Try to polish off that guy.
Yeah, polish off that guy. So this ghoul here is again going to try to break down the door. He needs a 1, 2, or 3.
And no.
No. This ghoul here is going to run up to the door and attempt to see if he can break it down.
If he can break it down.
So, same thing, 1, 2, or a 3.
Right.
3!
3
He breaks down the door, so now he's inside because he can move that half-inch.
So while this ghoul was trying to break down the door, the someone ran in. He broke down the door, and he was able to basically feast on all the living inside, which makes this other guy kind of disappointed. But if this ghoul can stay in here unmolested for a full turn, then you get this meeple to add to your victory pile. So that's pretty sweet.
Yes, it is. It will make up for losing my other 2 ghouls.
Right. Okay, who's next?
So now we have the charge. The ghoul gets 2 attacks on the lowly peasant.
Okay.
4 or better to hit. 1 hit.
1 hit. 4, 5, 6 to wound.
6.
Oh, critical hit. So roll on the critical hit chart.
3.
Okay, that is hits exposed spot. 1 wound equals 2 wounds. No armor saves. So you did 2 wounds. Roll on the chart for the wound. Out of action. You have injured him. He's out of action. He can mount his head on one of the gravestones.
I can steal his femur.
So the Strigoi and his mob of ghouls have finally succeeded in attacking one hovel and breaking inside.
That is the end of my turn.
Okay, so it's Baron Gerlach's turn, and I do have a couple of zombies here, and they're going to try to charge this peasant. I think we're okay. So charge. They're motivated by food, so they can't run, but when they get to within charge range, they can charge. So that's kind of interesting. And we forgot about the recovery phase, so this zombie actually stands up. So he's back and ready to fight, even though he's at 0 wounds. But that's the way the rules work. So he's standing up. He's going to fight. The Necromancer is not going to move. He's still waiting for some zombie to get dispatched so he can basically bring them back.
And your dire wolf?
Yeah, the big bad wolf is going to knock on that door. And his strength is 4, I think.
So you need a 1 through 4.
5. Nope, he can't quite do it. So
He's still sniffing at the door.
he's clawing furiously at the front door, but they must have barricaded it with the old potbelly stove or something.
So next is the charges.
The charges. Okay, so we have 2 charges here, these 2 zombies, so they're going to attack this peasant, and they need to get 4, 5, or 6. 3 is a miss.
And I get to attack back. So I'm going to attack the other guy.
Okay. 6,
Hit.
you hit. 3 doesn't wound. And the zombie's going to attack that guy. And 3, he missed. All right.
So you're going to finish your battle there?
Yeah. So Baron Gerlach is going to do 1 attack against the peasant who's knocked down and 1 attack against the peasant who is still upright. So against the guy who's knocked down, he hits automatically, so he just needs to wound. And that's a wound. So roll in the injury roll. 2.
Knocked down.
Knocked down? Well, that's weird.
So he stays knocked down.
I guess he stays knocked down.
He didn't hit him very hard.
He was knocked down. He's got 0 wounds, and he's still knocked down. So Baron Gerlach is going to do his second attack against this other peasant. He needs a 3 to hit and a 3 to wound. 6 to hit. Too bad that's not a wound. And 1.
It is not the vampire's day.
It is not the vampire's day, and even with the help of these zombies, they can't take these peasants out. So that's sort of disappointing. Okay.
So now we go to the other mishmash.
The other big fight. You peasants are seriously interfering with our snack.
Yeah.
So here the peasants get to attack first because the zombies have initiative of 1. So do you want to start with this blue guy versus that one?
Sure.
Hits.
So hits.
Doesn't wound. We have the lady with...
You get to attack back.
Attack back. I missed.
Okay. So the lady with the 2.
The 2 knives versus the zombie there.
No.
Missed. He gets to attack back. He hits. And 4, 5, or 6 to wound. He wounds. Critical hit. Oh boy, we can make some progress here. Critical hit chart. 6. So a 6 on the critical hit chart is a master strike. So that means that's 2 wounds. No armor saves. Plus 2 to the injury roll. So I roll twice on the injury roll. Add 2. And she's out of action. Is that the only one I killed?
Yeah.
Wow, after all that, that is the only casualty I've caused? That's crazy. Okay, and then this lady with the torch is going to attack that zombie. So roll it. 4, 5, or 6. No. Zombie attacks back. 4, he hits. 5, he wounds. Injury chart. 4 is stunned. So she is stunned. And then finally the one over here with the archer.
Okay.
Archer hits. Does not wound. Zombie misses on the strike back. So that's where we're at. So that was Baron Gerlach's turn. Now it's the peasant's turn, starting with the recovery phase. So she's gone from being stunned, just being knocked down. Though things are not looking that great for her. So during the recovery phase, this peasant with the pitchfork gets to stand up. So even though he's got 0 wounds, he's still fighting.
He is a fanatic after all. It's only a flesh wound.
You don't have any peasants on your side, right?
No, I
They're
do
all
not.
gone.
They're all gone.
And you are getting pretty close to getting a meeple point for clearing out that hut.
Right. But they did mow a pretty good path through my ghouls.
Okay, so peasants. You have 1 peasant, which is going to have higher initiative than the zombies, and 1 peasant, which is going to have lower initiative than the vampire, I believe.
Yep.
Who has an initiative of 5. He is going to attack this guy with the pitchfork with 1 attack, and he's going to attack this other guy with another attack. So pitchfork guy,
Doesn't
3.
hit him.
Yeah, he hits.
Oh, he hits on a 3. It's a 3 and a 3.
Yeah. So the vampire hits because he's got a much better weapon skill. And then wounds on a 5. So he wounded him. And we roll on the injury chart.
And he knocks him down
He
again.
knocks him down again. I wonder if that's how that works. We may be missing something where if someone's at 0 wounds, maybe something else happens. I'm not sure. We'll have to look that up. But for now, he's knocked down. And then the vampire is going to attack this guy with the axe. And he hits him. And he doesn't wound him.
Nope.
Okay. So the guy with the axe gets to attack one of these 2 zombies or the vampire.
I think he'll attack one of the zombies.
All right. That one there.
Sure.
4, 5, or 6. No. Zombie attacks.
No.
No. 1. Zombie attacks.
No.
No. Okay. So he's desperately trying to get over here to this hut because he's hungry after being in the mausoleum for so long, but that's not really working out, I guess. Yeah, so that is the sad tale of Baron Gerlach. Guess he wasn't a very high-powered vampire. All right, the Undead Horde. So let's see, you have a peasant there, and this other peasant is knocked down, so that peasant would get to attack first.
So he'll attack the guy with the leg.
All right, the guy with the foot. Okay. Yeah. And he misses. Guy with the foot is going to attack him back. Hits. Misses. Does not wound.
Then this one gets to attack there.
Yeah, so you have the archer over here.
Nope.
Nope. Zombie attacks the archer back.
Hits him.
Does not wound. Oh my god.
Now you've got the
This
other
zombie is going to attack this lady who is knocked down.
So you're rolling for a wound.
I'm just rolling for a wound because he hits automatically. 4. Oh,
took out the chicken.
I took out a chicken. So that's a wound. And knocked down. Wow. I think we're missing something there. We might be missing something there. And then the zombie will attack this other peasant. He hits. He wounds. And that is stunned. This guy's up. So he's knocked down. So all of these peasants are down to 0 wounds, but they're still hanging in there. Okay, so that is the end of the peasant phase.
Okay.
All right, we are entering the 2-hour mark on this grand adventure. So we're going to say this is the last turn. So you'll get a turn, I'll get a turn. Peasants will get a turn. And then dawn will arise, and everyone has to scuttle back underground. So it's a bit of a good news, bad news situation for the Strigoi. They have lost 2 ghouls, but they did manage to break into 1 filthy hovel. So that is something. And inside they found candy corn and meeples.
Tasty marshmallow meeples.
They found Halloween peeps in there, so they're pretty happy about all that. So what are the Strigoi going to do? There is another hut over here that could be raided. Or there's one over here, though the direwolf is kind of clawing at the door on that one. The Strigoi could probably make it over there.
Then they will get attacked.
Oh yeah, then a bunch of militant peasants will come charging out of the woodpile.
Dawn is pretty close. I don't think I'm close enough to do much of anything. But I will, just for giggles, move my 6 and then run. Because no one's within 8 inches, I don't think.
No.
Nope. So we'll run over and roar at Baron Gerlach.
Get off of my land.
And we'll do the same thing with this one.
Okay.
Except he only gets to go 8.
So the ghoul is moving 4 and then running an additional 4.
The dire wolf has a movement of 9, so the chances of him turning and chewing on us are pretty good. So we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to run our 8.
All right. And had this game gone longer, had we decided to keep going, then they probably could have put up a pretty good offense against Baron Gerlach over there, but we try to keep the games to a reasonable length. Dawn is coming. Those ancient enemies, we're going to have a big confrontation, but the sun is coming up.
And this guy is going to collect his little meeple.
So whatever was inside, he ate it. And he can go back to the cemetery with a full gullet. And he knocked over a lamp on his way out, so this is on fire. Take that, peasants.
So your turn.
Okay, so Baron Gerlach's turn, and unfortunately he did not make all of the progress he was hoping to make. He really wanted to get into this hut and have a snack, didn't quite make it. And then we got the zombies over there, and they didn't quite make it either. So we'll just see if we can kill some peasants. And yeah.
Is the dire wolf going to try to claw his way in?
He is. So no one to charge, really. I guess, oh, just for fun, the necromancer will charge this guy here who's lying on the ground, who's stunned, and then he can put him out of his misery. So that'll be something anyway. Direwolf has a strength of 4, so he needs a 1, 2, 3, 4 to break down that door. And he does. He finally does break down the door and goes rushing inside. But he won't be able to spend his full turn inside. So yeah, very sad. After several turns of clawing futilely at the door, he finally gets it open. But now the sun is starting to come over the horizon, and he won't have time to dig down to the root cellar and get all those people that were hiding in there. So too bad for the direwolf. I guess I'm just going to do my big fight, and I'm going to take out my frustrations on these peasants.
Charge first.
Charge first. Yeah, so the necromancer here just has a little dagger, but since this peasant is stunned, he can just take him out automatically. So that's different from being just knocked down. Knocked down, you hit automatically, but you still have to wound. Stunned, he just takes him out. Okay, so that is the charge. Next I have this zombie here who is fighting this peasant, and she is knocked down. So he hits automatically, and he just needs to wound. And he does not wound, he rolls a 1. So that's kind of pointless. So the next one, this archer gets to attack the zombie. Go ahead and roll for him. He hits. He wounds. Roll on the injury roll. 4. So the zombie is stunned. So the zombie goes down. So he's stunned. So Baron Gerlach, yeah, he'll try to dispatch this one that's lying down. We'll have to refer to the rules and see if we're doing that right, because we keep knocking them down and they keep staying knocked down, but maybe that's how it's supposed to be. So Baron Gerlach is going to attack this peasant here, who's down to 0 wounds and has been knocked down repeatedly, and so he needs a 3 to hit. He hits. He wounds. Roll on the injury roll. 6. So finally, he got rid of him. Lynn reminded me that I didn't have to roll to hit, but I'm going to take it anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the 3rd peasant down, and now Baron Gerlach is going to attack this other hapless peasant with the help of these 2 zombies. So Gerlach needs a 3. Doesn't hit. Of course not. Now the peasant gets to attack a zombie. 4, 5, or 6. No. Zombie attacking the peasant. No. Zombie attacking a peasant. Yes, he hits. He wounds. That's a critical hit. Critical hit chart.
6.
So that's a master strike. He gets to roll twice on the injury roll and add 2. So that's a 5. So that is out of action. So finally, got rid of that peasant. But was not able to make it inside the hut there for all the treasures within. So that is, I think, all of the zombies and vampires on my side. Okay, as the sun starts peeking over the mountains, the peasants know the end is near, and they've successfully defended their village, but they are going to get a few strikes in before that happens. So
recovery. Stands up.
Okay, so for the peasant's final turn, the lady with the torch is going to stand up.
The archer is going to kill off this zombie.
Okay, the archer is going to stomp on that zombie who is stunned. And she can attack, I think, but she attacks last because she stood up.
Right.
So that zombie is going to attack the lady with the torch. He needs a 4, 5, or 6. And he doesn't hit. So she attacks back. And she hits. She wounds. And out of action. Okay. So she stood up and she shoved the torch in his face. And so that zombie is gone. And is that it?
That is it.
Is that all of the peasants?
That is all the peasants.
So she is the last peasant standing with her torch.
Nope, the archer.
Oh, the archer, which was not that useful. He didn't really hit anybody. He killed off a zombie who was lying on the ground. So that's something. So who remains? We have the forces of Baron Gerlach. He has, let's see, a couple of zombies, 3 zombies. This zombie doesn't have any wounds left. Not that that matters. And then the necromancer. And then the poor direwolf who was just trying to get through that door and managed to at the end, but didn't get to feast on anybody. I did kill 4 peasants, so that was something. At least 4 peasants bit the dust, and maybe we can add them to our horde of undead thralls. So it's not a total loss. So I did lose 2 zombies, but that's okay. They're replaceable. Now the Strigoi, on the other hand, lost a couple of ghouls, which was sort of unfortunate. They did manage to feast on a variety of peasants. How many peasants did you kill?
Just 4.
Killed 4 peasants.
But I did get a meeple.
And you did clear out a hut of whatever the contents were. So that's probably a horror show of some type.
But my ghouls did learn that carrying stones is not very healthy. Bones are much better.
So the ghouls who had the rocks actually ended up getting killed, and the ghouls who had the bones ended up surviving. So
the lesson there is carry bones, not rocks.
Right. Carry bones, not
Longer
rocks.
reach.
And Baron Gerlach, well, it's hard to say what he might have learned. He was just released from his slumber, and he rampaged through the village. But he must be a little bit rusty. He's got to get stretched out to get back in fighting form, because his Undead Horde wasn't able to tackle a village full of peasants. So how's he going to,
take over the world?
Take over the world to fight the united armies of the Empire and such. So he'll have to work on that. But fortunately, he's immortal, so as long as he can scuttle back to the crypt before full daylight hits him, he'll have plenty of time to kind of plan a new attack for next Halloween. Okay, folks, well, that is our Mordheim Halloween special. We hope you enjoyed it, and it is a bit of a shame that the vampires didn't confront each other directly, but they were too busy fighting those pesky peasants who put up a surprisingly vigorous defense of their hovels.
They sure did.
They didn't want to get drained of all their blood and become unwilling undead thralls. So can't really blame them for that. But at least I think we got a better sense of the mechanics of this classic skirmish game. And we look forward to playing some more traditional Mordheim in the future, where we're actually going into the city and fighting for Weirdstone. So
treasure.
But in the meantime, as always, thanks very much for stopping by. If you like the things we do here, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please give this video a big thumbs up. And of course, please visit us online at our website, skirmishwargames.com.